Yeah, the last but definitely not least presentation of the day is conveyed by our architect, Sergey. He's going to tell us how we Enonic automated everything possible using GitHub Actions.
So just imagine me as a buzz lighter, and this is Alan when I was telling him that we need to automate everything.
Look how sad I am.
Yeah, so strictly speaking, we have quite a few repositories within our Enonic organization. The GitHub repositories, this is the live number. I just copied from yesterday. Oh damn, my presentation is just sharing the screen, so I cannot read my my text. So I will improvise. Anyway, we at Enonic use GitHub Actions like for almost everything, and this is have started probably the day one we the GitHub had released the GitHub Actions. Before we had something like Travis. We also used some drone. We used other automation tools like crazy zoo of them. But today we don't use anything else but GitHub Actions for automation. And by the way, yeah, I should have asked you like who is using GitHub Actions. Great. It's just half of the auditory is actually familiar with it, which makes my job a little bit more complex. I need to tell, like I was planning to basically how I should do this presentation. Should I go deep in the details or not? But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. So this is my first slide, which shows shows the our simple workflow, which we're using in GitHub. And it's really simple. Like what we do for all of our applications, which you have seen quite a few, like we wait for a push. We do this Gradle build. Probably you guys familiar that our applications and libraries are Gradle build based. And then internally it asks if we should release or not. And if we do need to release, it just makes the release page on the GitHub. I think since so many people are actually kind of familiar with this, I'll even show this. So this is, no, not this one. This is our build. I think, yeah, it's better than on the slide. So this is like GitHub, a push, then to do a build and push something, and then if it's release, if it needs to release, then it's just do the release page. What is the release page, by the way? What is this? Yeah, it's actually this one. It's this beautiful page with the change logs. So so far so good. What does it do in addition to this small job? Yeah, so whenever we push build, and in case of this, it does the release. So this is basically our everything. We do have this workflow for like 250 applications we have, and how we actually share it for each and every application. We have this very neat functionality, which is also implemented in GitHub. You see this .enonic.github repository where we share all our simple workflows. Let me actually go there because it's probably much more interesting to see it live than like this .github. This is a magic repository. You should be aware of it. It's very nice. It's actually can be used for multiple more features, but we are using it for this. So we are sharing this, sharing our very simple workflow right here within the GitHub repository. We call it Enonic Gradle. How we actually use it, it's actually quite fun as well. So let's say I have a new application, up booster, and then I go to actions, and I click a new workflow. Let's pretend it's a completely new one. And then I scroll here, and GitHub, like very gladly for us, adds Enonic Gradle workflow repository. You just click configure, and commit changes. It will write this GitHub workflow for us, and it will start running for every push. I'm not going to do this because it's actually already done. So basically, this is how it works. The little bit more details about this is that this simple workflow is capable of doing much more than just build and write a release page. We figured out during the development, we have figured out we also need to collect the code coverage. We also need to do some publishing of certain things like npm packages, which contain our TypeScript definitions for our libraries, etc. And we sometimes even make a Docker image with just one jar within it. It's kind of it's like it's a container Docker image which we can use then in Kubernetes. I don't know, like have we do like we actually have something in soon will be released in the version 1. It's going to be XP operator for Kubernetes, where this pattern is kind of used, so you can bundle your application within the Docker container and push it into XP operator, and it's going to work. And this is why we are making it in a simple workflow as well, so we can do multiple more stuff. But this is, again, it's very simple. But how is it so simple? Oh, sorry, it's actually a different phrase. I need to say about 2 words about another simple workflow, which is called DocGen Workflow. Well, yeah, I think I will demonstrate it too. Let's say you're probably aware of our developer enonic.com website, right? Where you can read documentation about our products and applications. Let's see. This one. Okay, I am reading this introduction to Enonic, and this guide will slow you. How to? There is a typo. No, this is not correct. I'm gonna try to fix it. So we have a special docs folder within the repository. So let's go to the index page where this typo is actually made. By the way, it's fully intentional. It's like it was written carefully. I had very hard time to find actually errors in these pages, but so I made this mistake right before this presentation. So I'm just committing the code, committing the documentation straight into the master. Don't worry about that. It's just fine. So this guide will show you how to set up all the local development, etc. And let's see. So there is a special code within the GitHub folder. See, it's kind of GitHub repository, GitHub folder, nothing to confuse. Absolutely. So there is a workflow which is called enonic.gen. It's very simple. It looks for the master branch within the path docs, and what it does, it just makes the action generate docs. And this is what we actually have seen already in action inside actions. This one. So this is like generate documentation one. Yeah, this one. Unfortunately, it's already done, or fortunately, it was so fast. Took just 47 seconds. Let's, by the way, find if it was already published. This one, I guess. Yeah, it's now show you how to. So this is basically how this workflow works. We pick up the changes from the doc folder, and we build the HTML document from ASCII doc, like a format we write documentation in. And then we issue a webhook into our developer.enonic.com website with this new HTML, and boom, it's there. As easy as that, right? But is it that easy, by the way? Unfortunately not, because behind scenes, I will not show you. It's actually, everything is open source, and you can find it there. Unfortunately, it's actually quite a few third-party GitHub actions, and it's a whole bunch of Java and Node.js and Bash scripts, like piled together in order for this everything to work so seamlessly. Very nice, by the way, because it's the GitHub, I think a year and a half ago, have introduced a new feature which is called composite action, where you can do this. You can just write your composite, where you put a whole bunch of multiple actions, and then you just reference that composite action within your repository. This is why it looks so simple, actually. Okay, so far so good. Let's go to another slide. I have not so many, but apparently, and probably obviously, it works very well for the cases when it's just one application, right? So very simple. But what if it's not just one application? What is a whole bunch of applications like we have for our XP? We have XP, we have app users, app applications, app whatever. And then we need to gather it all together and then put it in a huge distro. And then this distro is distributed over multiple sources. This is also complex. Not only that, what if we actually need to write automation between, like, if this application this changes, we need to run integration tests, and boom, it's actually Content Studio, which is also dependent on the new version of XP. What to do? Well, for this case, we actually have made a much more complex, advanced workflow. It is so advanced that I'm actually scared to show it to you. But it's actually also open source, because all of these repositories are open source. You can look at them. They're huge, humongous. I can show them, actually. Even though I'm scared. Okay. Leave me alone. This is just one part of it. Let's go here. This Gradle. Yeah, we split the release action and the build action. This is much bigger, you see. It has, and this is the magic, actually. This is what I was talking about. So when XP has build, it actually tries to dispatch into the multiple more repositories in order for them to pick up the latest changes and build them properly as well. So this is now possible with the latest version of GitHub Actions. You can actually connect the repositories, even though it's not that simple. Even now, you need to kind of give permissions to the repository to trigger other repositories' actions. But it's possible. You can read documentation about this, and very neat functionality. Moreover, our XP is multi-version. We support the latest version, like for now it's XP 7.14, but at the same time we are now developing XP 8. So how to actually support multiple branches at the same time. Apparently it's also possible. The only caveat in here that you need to be very careful to actually have this file within this Gradle file, this build file, within the master repository. And actually, XP 7.14. And this branch, they need to have their own files, but on the same location for the builds to actually follow a specific branch of XP version. And then it really works smoothly. It distributes the entire thing over the multiple repositories within specific version of a branch. Yes, it's actually still quite complex. You need to write a few bits of code. You can actually dig into the repositories and check how it works, but it works. Nothing is impossible. And yes, this is another aspect of this specific repositories. In addition to all of this, you should build you should run the UI tests like we do for multiple repositories you have. For instance, this is when we complete the build of Content Studio. We run all the integration, UI tests we have within the GitHub Actions. Thanks to the fact that our repositories are open source, so they are public, Microsoft doesn't charge us for this. So this should be taken note, because they take quite some time. I've seen today on the slides like 2 minutes was too long. Look at this test. It takes 40 minutes, 40 minutes. It's actually a trick I'm actually proud of. You can decompose the tests into multiple, what is this, like buckets of the tests, and run them in parallel. So they won't take like 5.5 hours, but instead they will run in parallel and just take 40 minutes max, which is quite a smart idea as far as I can judge. So anything else we use GitHub Actions for? Oh yeah, we do. Like we have a nightly server, and we actually have automated the deployment to the nightly server by GitHub Actions. It connects to the Google account. It deploys the application there. It actually uses our XP operator to bootstrap a new version of XP. Everything is kind of flying. We also automated the deployment of certain applications within our repositories. Like if somebody is making a change in a site market, which is market.enonic.com, we go through all these integration steps. Like we deploy first on dev, when we deploy on QA, when we deploy in production, everything flies. We do build the multi-architecture Docker images, which kind of slow sometimes, but definitely very hard to make on your local machines. But thanks to all varieties of GitHub Actions, third-party GitHub Actions, actually Docker provides them themselves. You can basically organize them so that they will become multi-architectural, so you can run them on Mac and a non on Mac, whatever Mac, maybe old Mac, new Mac, right?
As long as it's Mac.
As long as Mac, it's fine. We also released the libraries to Maven Central. You probably have noticed, actually, we recently started to publish our libraries, the jar files, into the Maven Central. We are a bit kind of not fully automating this, but because this central repository is sometimes wacky, but it's there, and we do it again with the GitHub automations. And we also started to use a bit of a Go recently, and many things you can actually make with the Go releaser. It's actually made to be run with GitHub Actions. Very convenient. I can recommend this tool for you. So yeah, we are doing it quite extensively. And if you never tried it, but you work with Enonic and you write applications and you want to actually build something, the pipeline, yes, it is actually possible for you too. We have documented it on our developer portal. It's super easy, super convenient to actually copy paste this GitHub action, then fill in some fields, the secret fields to your GitHub action secrets, and boom, it will work. So I think that's it.